these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure. How come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush? What's happening with the infrastructure? You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you get what you get.
The LA fires have affected tons of high-profile people. I mean, the Pacific Palisades is just populated with Hollywood actors, writers, directors, producers. My agent lives there. A ton of individuals who are incredibly high profile in the entertainment industry. And one really valuable thing has been to harness in and tap into the incredibly talented talk radio hosts who live in California, who know California politics. I used to work on the radio station KABC, so I'm plugged into a lot of this stuff too. But nobody knows more about what's going on in this area than podcaster and broadcasting legend Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla actually lives in Glendale, I think, last I checked, which borders Altadena, where one of the major fires is. He had to evacuate. He did his podcast from a hotel room. I'm guessing, I think that's a Residence Inn based on those lamps. I'm guessing a Marriott brand of some kind, because I know those lamps. This is Bonvoy all the way. I want you to listen to this segment from the Adam Carolla podcast because it's incredibly insightful, but he also talks about how this entire experience might just change the political landscape in California as it devastates the actual geographic landscape. Let's watch.
The guys who lost their $20 million homes on the ocean side of PCH will be knee deep in the permit process. They will be trying to pull permits when the guys in the Winnebagos will have been back for months before those guys ever get a permit. As a matter of fact, good fucking luck, because here's the deal. Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers moved because they could not get a permit to rebuild their home of 40 years on the ocean on PCH, right? So here's what's going to happen. Let me just give you guys a little primer of what's going to happen. You know how Bill Maher seems real conservative now when he's like arguing with Jane Fonda about regulations, too many regulations, like strangling everything? Because remember, when Bill Maher tried to put solar in his house in Beverly Hills, that's when he turned against the government, because he saw what the government and the overreach of government and overregulation does. He got strangled. It took him 3 years to build a solar shack. He had a whole countdown on his show, you know, day 1,000 since I've got my permit for my solar. He turned. Okay. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world, or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is, all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure. How come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush? What's happening with the infrastructure? You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes, super wealthy people, and these people don't want to live in Van Nuys. They like it where they are. They love Malibu. They love the Palisades. They love Santa Monica. There's going to be a whole bunch of rich people, and they're going to go, I'm rebuilding, and I want to rebuild as fast as I can. And between the part where they go in to planning commission and plan check and initially and try to pull a permit to the time the first load of lumber, the first load of 2x4s is dropped off on their lot where their house formerly stood, it's going to be 3 years and 1,000 permits and 1,000 arguments and 1,000 discussions with the Coastal Commission, not to mention little tidbits that they didn't think about, like Carson Daly. You want a swimming pool? Yep. Got to be double hulled. Really? Yeah. Well, why? Well, what if water leaches out and gets into the groundwater table? Carson Daly had to build a swimming pool like a modern day oil tanker. Had to be like a double hulled. That's all right. It'll just cost $500,000 for a swimming pool. Like that, they're going to be, when they start getting the regulation, they're going to go nuts. And when they start running into the bureaucracy and the red tape, they're going to start going nuts, and they're going to vote for Rick Caruso next time because they want to get. That's all Trump says is we're going to pull back the regulations. We're going to free people up. They're going to find out. They're going to get bit by their own snake. They're going to convert. I am telling you, these are the bluest people on the planet, and they're going to be fucking ripshit pissed when the city and the Coastal Commission tell them to fuck off. And by the way, I don't think the Coastal Commission is going to okay anyone rebuilding any of their houses on the coast because they say they're in the business of protecting the coast. They're in the business of getting you to leave. They will get their wish, which is no buildings. And they're going to make it hard for everyone. And then we're going to have to restructure the whole thing because we can't have 9 angry lesbians controlling everything that goes on in Malibu, the Palisades, and Santa Monica.
He's just absolutely one of the best and a trailblazer, actually. His podcast sort of led the way 13, 14 years ago. Love Adam Carolla. Absolutely love him. And he's right about a ton of that. But I differ on a couple of things, and let me explain why. First of all, people often ask me, I used to live in Southern California as well. I spent the greater part of my life there. I've lived here in the DC area now for about 13 years. I've spent my entire life as a conservative Republican living in the bluest places. I lived in New York City. I lived in Los Angeles, and now I live in DC. Well, outside of DC. It's frustrating to say the least, but I have lived in New York and in Los Angeles and in California when it was run by Republicans. And people ask me all the time, when will California ever vote for another Republican for mayor of LA or for governor of California? When will New York finally, vote for a Republican mayor again? I was there when Rudy Giuliani became mayor. I was in LA when Dick Riordan became the mayor of LA, when Governor Pete Wilson was the Republican governor of the state. I always give the same answer. Things have to get so bad that they finally will prioritize competence and efficiency and actually saving people's lives over how easily you can kill the baby in your womb. That's the answer. That's the answer. You have to find that delta point where being able to kill babies in your womb as easily as possible and as late as possible and as young as possible, young in terms of the age of the mother, without any encumbrance. That priority has to somehow be overshadowed by the level of danger you're feeling, the quality of life, or just absolute insane economic conditions. And so far, since Riordan, Wilson, and Pataki Giuliani, who were the governor and mayor of New York at the time, since then, it hasn't reached that point. Is this the tipping point? Maybe. I tend to think not anymore. Sadly, because there's a couple of differences now than 20 years ago, the last time this happened, 25 years ago, I guess, the last time this happened when it was that bad. The first is, and he's right, Caruso might win. Caruso is a businessman, okay? A career politician in California who's a Republican, somebody who's held elected office, if there are any left, they're not going to be able to become the governor. They're not going to be able to become mayor of Los Angeles. One of the guys who wanted to be governor of California in the last recall election of Gavin Newsom was the very successful mayor of San Diego. He didn't even make it to the final. I think it was Larry Elder, of all people, who ended up being the main challenger to Gavin Newsom, which is exactly what Gavin Newsom wanted. He didn't want to run against somebody who had experience actually running the government and doing good things in San Diego. So of course he won. But the fact of the matter is, you need to be a Donald Trump. You need to be like Rick Caruso, who wants to be mayor of Los Angeles. He is a wealthy real estate developer. And he's got to go in there not as a Republican, but just as a common sense man who's tired of inefficiency and he's going to get things done. That's what Dick Reardon was. Dick Reardon was a restaurant owner of a beloved restaurant in downtown Los Angeles. He had had enough with 4 terms of Mayor Tom Bradley. Tom Bradley retires. Dick Reardon says, enough is enough. I can't get a permit. I got all the stuff that Adam is complaining about now. That's how Dick Reardon made his way into office. All right. And by the way, the last major, like, horrific disaster that California had was the Northridge earthquake of 1994. And at the time, Pete Wilson was governor, Republican. Dick Reardon was mayor of Los Angeles, Republican. We had freeway overpasses broken and busted. You know, you bust the 10 freeway in Los Angeles, the Santa Monica freeway, and you have crippled that town. Pete Wilson, Dick Reardon said, okay, no red tape, no bid process. You get this fixed in less than 100 days, and every day you get it fixed short of 100 days, we'll give you bonus after bonus after bonus. Well, son of a gun, they got the freeways repaired because suddenly things can be done efficiently and with a profit motive because they didn't deal with all of the crap that Adam Carolla just laid out there. But of course, that was 25 years ago. And now the slow creep of all this regulation has come back in, and the place is a disaster. When Rick Caruso ran against Karen Bass a couple of years ago, he ran on I'm going to do something to fix homelessness, and I'm going to do something to fix crime. And I'll tell you what, that wasn't enough in Los Angeles to defeat the woman who ran as, hey, I'm a black woman, everybody, and Black Lives Matter. Enough said. I'll break a glass ceiling, and that's what they got. They got what they got. Now, will it be enough to possibly in the city of Los Angeles? I don't know if it is for the state of California. There's another reason why in New York and in California, but it's even worse in California. It's even a bigger long shot. There's 2 big reasons why it's a bigger long shot that you could ever get a Republican governor back in Sacramento. Number one, there is no functioning Republican Party anymore, really. When Dick Reardon won in Los Angeles, you had multiple terms of Republican governors. You had George Deukmejian as the Republican governor for 8 years, and then you had Pete Wilson. So they had a structure, they had fundraising, they had some semblance of organization as a Republican Party. Schwarzenegger blew that all apart. There really isn't a functioning Republican Party in that state anymore. So it's such an outside long shot. Maybe as mayor of Los Angeles, you can get somebody to come in there as a maverick. But for the state of California, the organization you need, it could. I suppose it could happen. Maybe if Mel Gibson runs, maybe I don't know. I honestly don't know. The other reason, I told you there were 2 more reasons. One is that the other reason why it's a long shot for this to happen in California again is that Republicans, Adam Carolla just laid out this whole scenario where these guys are going to want to rebuild their homes. And then because of the red tape and the regulations and the nightmares and the expense, it's like they're going to be so upset. They're going to be so angry. They're going to be so frustrated that they're going to vote in a new mayor. No, they're not. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do what so many people have done. They're going to leave. They're going to leave the state. They've got friends who have moved to the beautiful hills of Tennessee. They've got friends who have moved to Florida. They've got beaches there too. They've got palm trees there too. Yes, it's humid and they've got big mosquitoes as well, but they're just going to leave. They're just going to leave. They're not going to stay. So all those pissed off people who could actually make a difference, they're going to be gone. And all you're going to have left are the same people who just continue to live with all of this crap. But as long as you can kill those babies right up until the moment of birth without any questions asked, well, sign me up for 4 more years. And that's the sad reality. I hope Adam Carolla is right. I do. Like I said, when do you get a Republican running California again? When things get just that bad.